Have you guys seen this video of the President of the United States not even having a fundamental understanding of the alliances that the US is currently engaged in? Not only is this clip embarrassing for Trump, but it's embarrassing for America on the global stage because Trump tries to claim that one of our strongest NATO allies is actually an enemy who's a part of BRICS. Now, BRICS is the alliance between Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and many other countries, but the ally that Trump is talking about is not a part of BRICS. It is incredibly embarrassing, and I want to play this clip in 1 second, but before we even jump in, I need to lay the groundwork by showing you this photo right here. Many people missed it, understandably so, because so much insane stuff happened yesterday. It is a perfect example of Steve Bannon's tactic of flooding the zone. When Trump signs, I don't know, over 100 executive orders, 200 executive orders that quickly, you flood the zone with so much BS. And then on the side, you have Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes for some reason, but I digress. This photo shows the TikTok CEO sitting next to the next Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. It reads, "Is that really the CEO of TikTok sitting next to the next DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, at President Trump's inauguration?" Evidently, yes. You guys understand the conflict of interest here, right? Not only is Tulsi Gabbard an incredibly shady pick for the DNI position, I mean, she's openly pro-Assad, she's hinted towards being pro-Russia, I'm sure she's got sympathies towards China as well. She's sympathetic towards all of our enemies, while not even engaging with our alliances like NATO, alliances that we already have. And, you know, I'll connect it perfectly back to Trump's clip in 1 second. But the conflict of interest here is wild because we know for a fact that TikTok, which is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, is engaged in a lot of really shady stuff. And listen, I don't think they should outright ban TikTok. There are better ways to do it. I like the idea of forcing ByteDance to divest to an American subsidiary so that, or to any other subsidiary, one that is not so close to the CCP that they can have their paws on the data of 170 million Americans. Just think about this. Many of the Congress people, the congressmen and women, were not willing to vote in favor of the TikTok ban, but they did one briefing with our national intelligence services. They did one briefing, and what they saw scared the shit out of them. So I'm not saying they should ban TikTok, but I do think that letting China have their paws on TikTok at this very moment would be like allowing the Soviet Union to own CNN during the Cold War. One of our biggest enemies has a direct line to 170 million Americans, and you better bet that they are going to use that to influence elections. I mean, you guys saw the message that popped up on TikTok the other day, right? It said, "Thank you, President Trump, for restoring TikTok." The CCP clearly wants to influence Americans. They want to divide us. They want to spread extreme anti-Semitism while also amplifying Islamophobia. They want to spread misogyny, all of the different things to make sure America is a less cohesive society. And you guys see why, right? They are one of our enemies. We would do the same to them, but they actually have TikTok banned in China. So, to go back to my point, the Director of National Intelligence, one of their sole purposes is to protect the country from foreign threats, including cyber espionage or disinformation campaigns. And we live in a time where disinformation campaigns are more effective than any ground war could ever be. Vladimir Putin knows that he would lose a ground war to the US, so he's invested billions, if not trillions of dollars in this infrastructure to spread disinformation, and you can bet that the CCP is doing the same thing. So the idea that the DNI is sitting next to the owner of TikTok is honestly incredibly scary. And let me play this clip because Trump actually gets asked about TikTok and he says, "We have bigger things to worry about than China having our data." He genuinely says, "We have bigger things to worry about than China having our data," while, or hours before, the owner of TikTok was sitting next to our potential next DNI. Let me play this clip, then I'll break it down. But just understand how transactional Trump is. This dude is so transactional that he realized TikTok being there and owned by the CCP could benefit him, as it did over the past few days, because they'll send messages for him. And now he's saying he doesn't even care if they have our data.
The U.S. essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as well?
Could be, yeah, could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok.
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know.
Are you Chinese?
to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that.
Yeah, you are the bigger problem. And by the way, when he talks about bigger problems, he literally had just signed an executive order releasing all of the January 6th insurrectionists. So I guess those are the bigger problems he's referring to. But there's a few disgusting things about this. Number one, TikTok isn't just primarily used by young kids. He thinks it's meant for like little kids, but no, people across all age demographics use TikTok. And secondly, it's not even about them just stealing our data. Yes, we don't want the CCP to have our data, but again, that's not even the biggest part of it. It's that TikTok has a direct line to influence hundreds of millions of Americans. And again, if you disagree with me, think back to what happened roughly 2 days ago. 2 days ago, the owners of TikTok intentionally made it go dark and said that President Trump may be able to save it. And then Trump tweets out, let's save TikTok. And then TikTok comes back online with a message saying, thank you to Donald Trump for saving TikTok. Is there a better example of TikTok trying to put their thumb on the scale of American politics? I don't think so at all. So let's go back to this photo of the DNI next to the owner of TikTok. And by the way, make sure you drop a like. Double check to make sure you're subscribed to the Mockler channel. Once we hit 1 million subscribers, we will really be boosting. And again, I'm not saying to leave a like because of my ego. Our pro-democracy message gets boosted when you leave a like, when you watch videos till the end. So I almost can't believe this glaring threat to the integrity of America's national intelligence, but honestly, it's only day 2 of the Trump admin. It's the first full business day of the Trump admin, and we already have huge conflicts of interest. I want to play this video of Trump in the Oval Office, not even understanding the alliances that we're engaged in. He asks if Spain is a BRICS nation, and then he kind of smugly says, you'll learn what a BRICS nation is soon. It's so bad. Take a listen.
Thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money, like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. And yet, are they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain.
Okay.
You know what a BRICS nation is? You'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States.
And then he comes back to the tariffs. All right. So I like how he smugly says, you'll figure out what a BRICS nation is soon enough. You'll learn about it when he doesn't even know what it is. But think about the broader implications of this, because the President of the United States, who is expected to have a very clear understanding of our global alliances, of who our enemies are, is demonstrating like a fundamental ignorance about key international relationships. I am 22 years old and I could tell you what BRICS is and that Spain is in NATO. Spain has been in NATO since, I believe, 1999, for a while. Longer than I've been alive. How does this dude not understand this? And he is the President of the United States. Mehdi Hassan rightfully points out, if Biden had said this, it would be on a 24/7 loop on cable and all over TikTok. Biden could give a 30-minute speech, and if he messes up one sentence, it's blasted everywhere. But Trump can show that he doesn't have a fundamental understanding of who our allies or enemies are. Like, literally, this dude is so confused. I don't even know if he knows that Russia is an enemy to the United States, because I've heard him call Justin Trudeau a lot of nicknames. I've heard him call a lot of our allies nicknames. Has he ever come up with a nickname for Putin? Is there any sort of nickname that he's come up with for Vladimir Putin? That should be like step 1 to having a strong United States, if that's what he actually wants, as he claims. But again, this signals a really dangerous detachment from reality, a detachment from the facts, or just a lack of understanding. And I'm just going to, just to simplify all of that, idiocy. This is absolute idiocy. And the thing is, minutes before this, he was saying that Democrats rigged the last election, that January 6ers were hostages. So going back to what I said earlier, when you flood the zone with so much BS, it's hard to latch on to all of it and try to debunk it, but that's what we're going to do on this channel. Let me also show you this article that is incredibly scary. Instagram today hid search results for certain tags like Democrats. Meta says it's working urgently to fix a problem with Instagram, which results in a, quote, results hidden message when users search for the term Democrat or Democrats. Some social media users have accused the company of political bias, pointing out the issue has only been occurring after Donald Trump's inauguration, which was attended by Meta owner Mark Zuckerberg. However, social media expert Matt Navarra said it was embarrassing for Instagram regardless. And let's just look at the exact hashtags that were hidden. Let's take a look at this list, and you tell me if you think that this was some sort of nefarious act. Hidden hashtags: Democrat, liberal, leftist, progressives, resist Trump, dump Trump, stop fascism, pro-choice was suppressed. You can't look up abortion, abortion rights, no ban, no wall. You can't even look up Obama, Pelosi, Kamala, Biden, Bernie, Liz Cheney, vote blue, January 6th, Fauci. And I do want to point out, Instagram has since fixed a lot of this, or they are working to fix it. But this is weird. This is incredibly, incredibly weird. Who thought that it was okay to ban a bunch of left-leaning terms like Democrat, liberal, resist Trump? We have a lot of work to do, and let me just end this off by talking to you guys about the cost of incompetence. Incompetence always costs something, but seeing incompetence at the highest level of the government is beyond embarrassing. It's pretty dangerous. When a president doesn't understand our international alliances, when a president just blatantly dismisses any national security threats that are right in front of his eyes, they are literally right in front of his eyes, and then he just surrounds himself with individuals who blur the lines of loyalty, it weakens the country from within, and it's a huge win for people like Vladimir Putin. It's a huge win for the CCP and ByteDance. I mean, if TikTok was trying to weaken America from within by promoting Trump, then damn have they succeeded, because now, as Americans, we have to recognize the stakes. On an individual level, people like you and I need to recognize that the future of democracy relies on us relentlessly pushing back, and I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.